हाँ, नमस्ते रवि जी। ये आपका रहस्य पूछना पड़ेगा, ये क्यों इतना बियर्ड रखे हैं, क्या हो गया? मैं
बताऊंगा सर, बता दूंगा।
वो रहस्य नहीं, यहाँ तो बात नहीं कर सकते हैं हम। रहस्य
सर वो
पूछना
साहब
पड़ेगा आपको, क्या रीजन है?
मिल के बता दूंगा।
हैं?
Pallavi, you can unmute and start.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes,
Audible,
clearly.
Pallavi.
Very
Okay.
clear. Okay.
Okay, so let me formally start this session. So good afternoon and welcome to the second session of the day. So on behalf of the Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies, University of Delhi, I, Pallavi Datta, a PhD research scholar in the same department and also your moderator for this afternoon session, would like to extend a warm welcome to you all. I welcome you to the third part of the 14th session of the national webinar on multicultural, multidisciplinary approaches to folk life, challenges and perspective. I would like to thank and welcome our convener and HOD of the department, Professor P.C. Patnaik, sir. I would extend my warm welcome to all the faculty members and research scholars from our department and also from various other institutions who are joining here us today. And most importantly, I would like to welcome the listeners and the audience. Without your involvement, this seminar would not have been meaningful. We have already witnessed a successful and intellectually stimulating morning session today. And the very fact that the webinar is multidisciplinary gave an opportunity for the presenters to discuss the same theme in varied perspectives. So without much ado, so today we have four paper presenters on the queue. So I would like to quickly give you a recap of the rules and decorum that are ought to be followed during the course of the presentation. So each paper presenter would get 20 minutes of time. So I request all of you to please adhere to the time and 10 minutes of discussions or answering the questions. All the audience and the listeners, please, you have to mute yourself, and whatever comments, suggestions, or observations you have to please type it in the chat box. And please don't wait for the presenter to finish his or her presentation to give your questions. While the presentation is going on, you have to mention it in the chat box whenever you are listening to the presentation so that we save time. And to my request to the presenters to please introduce yourself first and then begin your presentation. So our first presenter we have today is Dr. Arunima Goswami from Assam Women's University. Her paper is titled Folk Beliefs and Nature Conservation, Insights from Tiwa Cultural System. So Dr. Arunima, over to you. Please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, respected Professor Prakash Patnaik, all the respected faculty members of the department, today's presenters, paper presenters, and everyone present here virtually to listen to the papers. I'm Dr. Arunima Goswami, and I'm working as an assistant professor in the Department of Cultural Studies, Assam Women's University. I did my master's in cultural studies from Tezpur Central University, and I did my PhD under the supervision of Professor Prakash Patnaik, Department of Modern Indian Language and Literary Studies, University of Delhi. So I'm sharing my screen here to show my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to present the topic folk beliefs and nature conservation, insights from Tiwa cultural system. Nature is the prime constituent behind the fabrication of the structure of a culture and exists prior to it. In present-day context, conservation of nature has been a very difficult task since economy overpowers ecology. Folk beliefs contribute immensely to the creation of attitudes and opinions of the folks towards conservation of natural resources in general. Tiwa community of Assam has a rich reservoir of folk beliefs in their cultural system, which serve the purpose of nature conservation in many ways. Whether it's a construction of house, celebration of fairs and festivals, performances of religious rites and rituals, observation of day-to-day works, etc., everywhere the role of nature among the community is all-inclusive. All their folk practices associated with nature carry a greater significance even in present-day affairs. At a time when overexploitation and depletion have caused forest exhaustion and people everywhere are perturbed by the disastrous consequences of the same, certain folk beliefs of Tiwas holding wider sense of meanings accumulate scopes to protect environmental damage. This paper works and aims to discuss various folk beliefs or practices of Tiwas embedded in ethics of conserving nature. Tiwa is one of the major ethnic communities of northeastern region of India, inhabit in different parts of Assam. Based on their settlement pattern, Tiwas are divided into two groups, the hill Tiwas and the plain Tiwas. The hill Tiwas are believed to be the possessor of their age-old traditional culture, whereas the plain Tiwas have lost many of its traditional traits. Tiwas possess a large reservoir of folk beliefs or practices, and they consider themselves connected with the natural environment in a web of spiritual relationship. For them, forest is the inhabitation of gods and goddesses. They consider specific plants, animals, rivers, hills, forests, etc. as their ancestors or inhabitation of gods and goddesses and believe in appeasing or to protect them. They have various folk beliefs or practices. Those have influenced the attitudes or behaviors of the community affecting natural environment and have played a role in protecting them till today. I would like to discuss very briefly about a few beliefs, narratives that promote conservation of nature in direct or indirect ways. Mindaisal is a place for community worshipping of Tiwas, which do not belong to any individual, family, or clan of the community. A Mindaisal is situated in a secluded place. Big stones, bamboo groves, and other trees can be seen in Mindaisals because they are situated in distant place of human habitation. So a different kind of ambience prevails in those places, and it becomes a perfect place to offer prayers to deities in the presence of cool and calm ambience. Usually, Mindaisals are established separately for separate gods and goddesses. Since these places are considered by the community as abode of supernatural beings or gods, the natural environment of Mindaisals are not destroyed by them. Rather, they are kept away from any damage. Thus, Mindaisals can be considered as antique forest segments which are preserved in the name of religious ethos. They exhibit the spiritual and ecological sentiments of the community. This is a picture of Mindaisal, one of the Mindaisals of Tiwas. Various beliefs are associated with natural world that indirectly promote conservation of animal species. Killing of tiger is tabooed among the Tiwas. So they observe a festival called Khaplang Rawa festival where they offer puja to Bak Devta, that is the tiger god, before going for cutting touches or for any work in the forest. Another animal deity of Tiwas is called Malthakur, who is the guardian of cattle and is believed to reside at the shed where the cattle are kept. This puja is observed during the month of April by every Tiwa household. During the puja, apart from doing many ritual activities, a red fowl is sacrificed and some feathers of the fowl from the tail and wings are kept on a banana leaf. The blood of the fowl from the neck is allowed to drop on the banana leaf. During the whole process of sacrifice, the priests chant mantras. A mixture of rice powder, blood, and water is sprinkled in those places which they believe to be productive and auspicious, like cowshed, cooking place, granary, looms, etc. Another mixture with mustard oil is prepared to mark imprint on the bodies of the cattle. They believe their goddess of wealth, Lukumi, resides near a large hill on a big stone situated amidst stream of water, who takes care of weather and land. The festival where they appease goddess Lukumi is called Yangli. On a special day, they bring Lukumi from water to Thomkunda. Thomkunda is a wooden post of Samadhi, and Samadhi is the youth dormitory of Tiwas. On the day of Yangli, celebration takes place near a bank of a river stream. This place is called Yangli Sal. Sacrifice of animals and chanting of hymns are also done to guard Lukumi from any evil creatures. They try to appease goddess Lukumi with the rhythm of kram pangshi, these are traditional instruments, and welcome her to Thomkunda from Yangli Sal. Some of them also carry swords and shields to symbolically protect Lukumi. Another group of people follow the performers from Yangli Sal and pour water mixed rice powder right from Yangli Sal. Since they believe that Lukumi resides in water, so they do not pollute river or river streams in everyday affairs. These are some pictures from the performance of Yangli. In the first picture, this is a dance performance that they did in the near a forest. And in the second picture, they are performing the puja near a river stream. Taboos are unwritten and orally transmitted. To cut big trees is a taboo among the Tiwas. They have a pre-decided occasion when they can cut big trees. This significant occasion is the reconstruction of Samadhi. Samadhi is the youth dormitory organization. They don't reconstruct a Samadhi every year, generally under the direction of the Panthais. Panthais are the members of Samadhi, and cooperation of the villagers. An old Samadhi is demolished and a new one is reconstructed after a gap of 5 or 6 years. On a selected Wednesday, all the male persons went to a nearby forest to select post for Samadhi. The trees which they decide to cut for the post are offered a small amount of ju. Ju is the traditional rice beer on 3 leaves of wild bamboo tree in the name of Birukadaru, that is the god of forest. The 3 posts of the Samadhi are being prayed seeking peace and happiness of the dormitory boys, as well as for the entire village. The main post is called Thomkunda in Tiwa language. Since this Thomkunda bears very important significance, so certain obligations are there to be followed. Some of them are, it is not allowed to cross the tree selected for Thomkunda after it is cut. It is considered as inauspicious if anyone does it. Touching of the post with legs is not allowed. If it happens by mistake, then the person needs to inform it to the Loro. Loro is the priest, Tiwa priest, who will take some measures. The tree cannot be carried by any vehicle. Only men are allowed to carry it on their shoulders. There is a belief that since the Thomkunda is very auspicious and it is selected with permission of God, therefore even a big tree carries very less weight. This is a traditional Samadhi made of wood. According to oral tradition, before shifting their interest towards agricultural production, they earn their livelihood through hunting. Symbolic representation of hunting through dance steps or attire in some of their folk practices makes us to believe this fact is true. The forefathers of the community were fully aware of the importance and significance of natural resources, and they felt the necessity to conserve animal species and other natural resources for the sustenance of future generations. So this harmonious relation with nature has played an important role in conservation of biodiversity. Even if they go for extraction of natural resources, it is mandatory to perform another puja that is called Jangkhong Puja. I will not go in detail of this. So before shifting to agricultural production, they had no clue of which food would be appropriate to survive. Which food means which they will get from the agriculture. Before that, they were hunters. According to oral tradition, Tiwas invited gods and goddesses to come down to earth in order to help to select an appropriate food for them. Sorry. They came down with the permission from Fa Mahadev. Fa Mahadev is the supreme deity of Tiwas and started cultivation of rice. To recollect this memory that production of rice for the first time actually happened with the joint involvement of gods and goddesses, Tiwas had started organizing Wanswa festival. One means rice flour and swa means grinding. In the festival, several traditional wooden mortars are half buried in a circular way. Members of Samadhi grind the wet rice kept inside the mortar till it becomes powder. And along with the bit of traditional instruments of Tiwas such as kram, panthai, thurang, pangshi, etc. The rice powder is called wangkuri. This is a picture from Wanswa festival where the dormitory boys are grinding rice. Festival of Jonbil Mela put a significant impact on the surrounding ecosystem. Jonbil is the venue of annual get-together of the people of the Tiwa community of both plains and hills. This festival held on the bank of a wetland named Jonbil. At a time when money market is controlling the entire economy of the world, this unique mela held on barter principle once in a year, that is on the first Thursday after Makar Sankranti, gives this mela unique character. Customs like community fishing, barter system observed in this festival help to keep natural environment alive, where these observances can take place or can be maintained. Agriculture has caused another flourishing way of developing and nourishing castor plants. Agriculture being an important practice among the hill Tiwas, it has furnished explicitly to uphold an ecological arrangement around its production. Castor plants being the prime source to feed the airy larvae are developed substantially through June cultivation, which is not only useful for agriculture to flourish, but also provides a positive environmental condition to take place. Natural things and places such as hills, rivers, bamboos, etc. are situated in distant places away from human habitation. People always see these distant natural objects with enthusiasm, and their appearance or attributions are unlike their surrounding natural objects. So people form a different kind of attribute towards these objects, which is a mixture of enthusiasm, fear, and respect. The psychological attribute towards nature eventually develops into spiritualism that help in conserving nature to a greater extent in direct or indirect ways. Since many plants, animals, even waterfalls and river streams are considered as sacred, thus no felling or exploitation is being carried out by the community. The folk practices of Tiwas associated with nature carry a greater significance even in present-day context. At a time when overexploitation and depletion have caused forest exhaustion, the rites and rituals holding wider sense of meanings accumulate scopes to protect environmental damage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arunima. So your paper has portrayed the conservation of nature of the Tiwa cultural community of Assam. And you have emphasized through your paper the role of festivals, rituals, and taboos within the cultural fabric of the Tiwa community, and how folk beliefs and practices are working as an instrument to protect the environmental damage. So I would like to congratulate you on a very informative paper. So if there are any questions, let me just check in the chat box. No questions as of now. We are waiting. Dear audience and listeners, if you have to ask anything, please type your questions in the chat box. Okay, we have one question from Urvashi. She asks, is the culture of Tiwa community similar to any other community also? I believe by any other communities, he means any Indian community. Urvashi, please specify your question. Is the culture of Tiwa community similar to any other community also? Have you done any field work in the community? Dr. Arvinima, over to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Regarding this question, have you done any field work in the community? Yes, I have done. I did my PhD in my topic was destructuring folk practices of the Tiwa community. So I have done field work during my PhD work.
Okay, so we have another question from Ruchi Rana. She congratulates you for the informative presentation, and she would like to know if there is any kind of response from the Tiwa community toward developmental projects that are harmful for the ecology.
Till now, I have not noticed any kind of such projects that they are doing, like they are responding because the hill Tiwas, they are living at Karbi Anglong district of Assam, and the plain Tiwas, they are very much living with the other ethnic and non-ethnic communities of the state. So I have mentioned 2 lines before that the plain Tiwas have lost their traditional lifestyle and traditional way of living. On the other hand, the hill Tiwas, they are maintaining their traditional way of lifestyle. So in that case, the hill Tiwas, they are whatever developmental projects are happening at Karbi Anglong district, they are not so much they are accepting those such kind of projects which can harm their ecology, but there is no kind of formal kind of response from them. But day-to-day life, they used to give their rejection, or they are not accepting few kind of things, but not any kind of formal way, not in a formal way. They have even the autonomous council also.
Okay, here I would repeat, ma'am, I would like to repeat Urvashi's question. She asked, is there any similarity between the Tiwa community or any other community from India, specific from Northeast? So do you see any similarity between the Tiwa community or any other cultural community?
Yes, definitely similarities are there, but differences are also there in case of every community. Because of these similarities, they can mix up with each other, and because of the differences, they respect each other on the differences they have. there are both similarities are also there and differences are also there.
Okay, we have a question from Mahesh Kumar De, who is asking that do the Tiwa people consider themselves as Indians and participate in socio-political activity?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, they have their autonomous council and they are very much active in politics also, in the state politics also, which I have witnessed in my field work. So yeah, they definitely they consider themselves as Indian.
So we have one more question. This is by Ruchi Rana. How is the process of transmission of this sustainable knowledge system and beliefs of the community to the younger generation? Have you noticed any changes in the contemporary times? And how COVID has COVID affected anything?
So yes, this is a very interesting question, and recently I have worked on it. I wrote a paper on it, that the younger generation, as I have said, that plain Tiwas are not much aware of their traditional knowledge system. So definitely the younger generation is not interested. So recently they have started organizing a festival called Sograsal. So in this festival, means one more thing I would like to mention here, that the Hill Tiwas are maintaining their traditional culture, as I have already mentioned also. So they have started organizing a festival, Sograsal, and this festival was organized by the plain Tiwa people, and they invite the performers or to show their traditional cultures from the Hill Tiwas. Hill Tiwa people used to come and they used to perform and they used to transfer the knowledge in a very formal getup. Though there are so much, means we can see criticisms are there in that festival, that but it can be also taken positively in many ways, that the younger generation is who is far away from their traditional lifestyle, they have got this platform, or as they have got this opportunity to learn their traditional knowledge system. Yes, has COVID affected anything? In that case, I would not like to mention much about it, because I have contact with few Tiwa people through whom I used to get connected so often. But in case of COVID, I think the Karbi Anglong people who are living in Karbi Anglong district, they are not much affected, because they are already maintaining a aloof kind of lifestyle from the mainstream society. But in case of plain Tiwas, whatever is happening with the other communities, it's same with the Tiwas as well.
All right, I don't see any questions. So thank you, Dr. Arunima, for your paper and answering the questions. And as you have said that economy overpowers ecology, so it is indeed our concern. And thank you for throwing insight to the fact that how the cultural practices and beliefs are tied with the concept of preserving our nature. So it is not like that nature is to culture, culture and nature goes hand in hand. So thank you for the wonderful presentation and enlightening us on the Tiwa community rituals of Assam. So we are moving to the next speaker right now. So our next speaker is Mandavi Chaudhary from University of Delhi. And her paper titled is Body and Adornment, Exploring Folk Jewelry in Maithili Literature. So over to you, Mandavi. Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So my name is Mandavi Chaudhary and I am a PhD student at the Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies, University of Delhi. And I've also completed my MPhil from the department. My area of research is cultural narratives on folk jewelry. And before I begin with my paper, I would like to extend my sincerest and heartfelt thanks to the department for giving us me the opportunity to present my paper. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So the title of my paper is Body and Adornment, Exploring Folk Jewelry in Metal Literature. So before I begin with my paper, I would like to quote something, and that is, the adornment of the body is a human need. Love for beauty and adornment is an integral part of human life and has existed for over centuries. The human body is constantly in need of some love, which is showered upon it in the form of adornments. Literature written across the globe in distinct languages makes mention of it. And here are a few examples of the same. So there's a short story written by Rabindranath Tagore called The Last Jewels, in which the female protagonist, Mani, would constantly pine for jewelry and could not give up on this excessive love even at the time when her husband urgently needed it. And another very popular short story is The Diamond Necklace, which I'm sure most of you must have read. In that, like Money, like Tagore's Money, the female protagonist, she has a deep love for jewelry. So the love and yearning for jewelry is nothing new to humans. And jewelry, as Rebecca Ross Russell states, responds to our most primitive urges for control, for honor, and sex. It is at once the most ancient and most immediate of art forms, one that is defined by its connection and interaction with the body it lies on. So in Mithila, married women are expected to wear more jewelry as compared to unmarried women. And there is a specific hand ornament called lati, which is made of lac, which is lacquer. And this particular jewelry and toe rings are supposed to mark her sexual, her entry into sexual life. So all things in the world, including gods and goddesses, are carefully adorned with precious jewels and gems. Primitive humans found jewelry in whatever that was present before them, which means their surroundings. So they used to turn to nature to adorn themselves. Grass, twigs, and plants, flowers, and stones were initially utilized as jewelry items. Then, as advancements started taking place, people started turning to copper and iron. And then gold, silver, and other precious gems also started being used for the purpose of adornment. Now, coming to the folk jewelry of Mithila, first of all, it's important to identify where Mithila exactly is situated. So, Mithila is, which was also previously known as Tirhur, is situated in North Bihar and also in parts of Nepal. And so, just a second. Yes, I'm sorry, I missed out a point. So the point was that the people of India, they share a deeply engaging relationship with jewelry. And this is evident in all religious texts as well. So if I talk about Rig Veda, in the Rig Veda, the first two hymns are dedicated to Agni and Rudra, who are portrayed as the two important figures because they were the possessors of seven treasures. So from the ancient Harappan women to Mughal and Rajput princesses and majestic kings with beautiful crowns to the common Indian folk of the present day, jewelry has worked as a common space shared by all. So, in simpler words, jewelry and the desire to adorn the body is as old as human life itself. So, now I'll move to Mithila. And Mithila is a region, like I already mentioned, that is spread across North Bihar and parts of Nepal. And the land of Mithila is a culturally rich realm that has given to the world some incredibly wise minds, remembered and celebrated till date, including Yajnavalakya and Vidyapati and some modern Maithili writers as well. So these people that I'll be briefly discussing in the next slide were those who not only garnered ardent love for their culture, but also celebrated it in their writings. So jewelry is an inseparable part of Maithili culture and folk life. And it has been seen that jewelry finds its place in almost all the literature produced in Mithila right from the beginning. So the very first person that I would like to talk about is Yajnavalakya. So Yajnavalakya was a Vedic sage who is believed to have lived in the 8th century BCE. And in his remarkable work titled as Yajnavalakya Smriti, he mentions the various materials that were used to create jewelry, like chani, which is silver, and sona, which is gold, and also some other metals which were used in making jewelry. So through his work, he succeeds in recreating a picture of ancient Maithili folk life and the distinct materials used in creating jewelry. In ancient Maithili literature, Charya Geet, which were the Buddhist songs, were also immensely popular with the people. So what the monks basically did was that through these songs, they were able to preach their ideas. And these were very popular among the people because the teachings truly inspired them. So one of the lines from one of the songs goes like this: Haath re kangan ma Leodapan, which is loosely translated as if you have, if you have bangles as a hand ornament to adorn your hands, why do you need a mirror? So it is suggesting that the authority of jewelry over mirror is immense, and if you have a jewelry to enhance the beauty of your body, you do not need a mirror. You don't need to look at your imperfections in the mirror. And there are different types of jewelry items that have been introduced in the Charyagi, one of which is also kanet. So kanet basically means kanful. Now, this is not used in the modern vocabulary. And one of the lines from the songs goes like this: Kanet churelet adrati, which is translated as my kanful got stolen at midnight. Then we come to another very important Maithili writer, that is Jyotirishwar Thakur. And he's done a lot for Maithili literature. And his popular works are Dhurt Sangam and Van Ratnakar. And he's also commented upon jewelry in these works. So in his Dhurt Sangam, he describes a hermit and he says, Kankan ba gara rudraj, chandan binda le sulat, which can loosely be translated as the hermit is wearing an armlet on his arm, a rudraj in his neck, and has applied chandan on his forehead. Now, so then we move to another very important writer of this time, who, after Jyotirishwar Thakur, there's another important writer who is also one of the significant promoters of Maithili literature, that is Vidyapati, who is also known as the Kavi poet, the Kokil poet. Sorry, he was one of the finest writers that Maithili literature has ever had, and through his writings, he discusses at length the role and importance of jewelry in the life of the Maithili folk. And Radha Krishna Chaudhary mentions in his book titled as Mithila in the Age of Vidyapati that flowers were used as an ornament for the hair for decoration during Vidyapati's time, and Shankha, which is shells, and pearls, moti. He identifies these two as important materials used in making jewelry items. And Vidyapati is also popularly known for his love songs, which is titled as Bange Padabali. And these are love songs of Radha and Krishna. And in one of the songs, Krishna describes a herd's girl and says that she wears a garland of ivory petals. And in another song, Radha's friend, who is referred as Sakhi, she sings that the jewels are exposed and yet she nods her garment. So here, Radha's friend, she comments upon Radha's erotic relationship and she says that her jewelry has been exposed, which means that her sexuality has been exposed now and she cannot conceal it anymore. So many of the ornaments that were worn during Vidyapati's time are no longer in use. And this suggests that several changes have occurred in existing jewelry traditions. And this is also found in the language and vocabulary used by modern Maithili writers. So when we talk about modern Maithili writers, modern Maithili literature begins with Chanda Jha. And he's famous for his Maithili version of the Ramayana. And he uses Sanskritized vocabulary in the text. However, on the other hand, we have Hari Mohan Jha, who was another modern Maithili writer, who blends both traditional and modern vocabulary. So looking at the structure of vocabulary, it gets clear that while traditional learning, Sanskritized vocabulary prevailed, in the developing modern language, easily understandable vocabulary started getting more popular with the people. So the writers, what they did was that they started using the modern vocabulary, modern Maithili, which was also influenced by Hindi and English. So Chanda Jha, now I'll talk more about Chanda Jha and then I'll move on to other modern Maithili writers like Hari Mohan Jha. So Chanda Jha in his Ramayana uses Sanskritized vocabulary and he makes a lot of references to jewelry. Yeah, so as soon as Ram was born, there is a section where he talks about the birth of Ram. And he writes that his mother, Kaushalya, the moment she saw her son, she became aware of his supernatural qualities. So there's a line that goes like this, that he was dark like the petals of blue lotus and had 4 hands and wrappings of gold color. His eyes were red like lotus and he was bedecked with earrings. So here, what Chanda Jha is doing is that he is not only decorating the character, decorating the body of Ram, but also the character. So there is another section in the Balkanda section, which is childhood section, where he writes that he was adorned in other jewelry items, right? So he's depicted wearing ornaments on his arm and other gemstones. And this is a deliberate attempt, obviously, because he's trying to talk about the beauty of the character. And coming to Sita, again, Jha is very careful in describing the character of Sita, and who is the daughter of King Janak, and he provides details, these minute details that focus on her beauty through the mention of adornments. So he writes Ang Alankrit Shobhit Bhar, which means, which can be translated as her body is adorned with ornaments, adding charm to her beauty. And Sunaina, Sita's mother, in one section, she's so fascinated with the beauty of her daughter that she lavishly starts spending on her jewelry, and she decorates her with her own hands. So there's a line that says, Sita ke buji dharmak beti, hunak hetu singarak peti, which can be loosely translated as considering Sita as an ideal daughter, Sunaina, she bought her jewelry boxes. And there are other sections as well where the beauty of Sita is talked about in details. And before Sita departs for Ayodhya, she is gifted jewelry boxes. She's gifted bigger boxes that contain smaller boxes that have jewels. So some of these contain lahatis, the lag bangles that I earlier talked about. And also there are other gems kept in those boxes. And even when she arrives in Ayodhya, she's welcomed with a lot of precious
jewels. So this is exactly what Chanda Jha is trying to do. He tries to, through the mention of distinct jewelry items, he tries to comment upon the folk life of Mithila that holds high regard for jewelry items. All right. Right. And another thing that I want to mention here is that, he writes about lathis, the relevance of lathis. And lathi continues to be a very important ornament for women in India, women in Mithila. The only difference is that earlier there were very limited colors available, but now with newer modifications taking place in folk life, we have different designs that are available to women, and this is a compulsory jewelry worn by the married women. So yeah, now I'll talk about Hari Mohan Jha. And like I had already mentioned, he was a bit different from Chanda Jha in the manner in which he used language. And what he does is that he was a professor of philosophy, and he's played a very important role in the development of modern Maithili literature. And what he's done is that he has blended both the the traditional as well as the modern vocabulary in his writings. So and that vocabulary was influenced by English and Hindi. So again, in many of his works, he talks about jewelry, and his renowned work is Khatar Kaka Tarang, which is a collection of short stories, and he compares the jewelry of the previous times with that of the modern time.
Manvi, may I interrupt you here for a second? You have 5 minutes left for the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay, so so his intent of doing this is very deliberate, and there is a line that he uses in one of his short stories where he says that fashion badle chhe parantu manushya ki vasna aur iksha nahi badle chhe, which can be translated as, fashion trends may keep changing, but people continue to have a yearning or a deep desire to hold ornaments or jewelry. And in his one of his stories in Khatar Kaka Tarang, he talks about a Pandit, and he says how he writes how under the influence of the West, he has given up on his culture, and he started wearing English shoes. So then he argues over there that, it would be right then on the part of his wife to give up on lathis and start wearing the plastic bangles. So now, why did I talk about literature? Because it is very important to connect literature with jewelry, because jewelry has remained a crucial and a constant part of literature produced right from Jyotirishwar Thakur's time. And social and cultural changes are often included in literature so as to portray the real picture of the society to people, to readers particularly. So if I talk about the current situation, what exactly is Maithili folk jewelry at current during this time, then I would say that it is a blend. It's a blend of traditional and modern cultural elements. And Bholanath Bhattacharya in his text, Ornaments of Bengal, says that, folk ornaments is primitive and it has not been touched by modern techniques and is embedded in old beliefs. But if you look at Mithila, the folk jewelry of Mithila is, it cannot be put under such a stringent definition of what folk jewelry is. And it is a blend of traditional and modern cultural elements. And like the folk life of Mithila, the jewelry of Mithila too cannot be fixed at one point, for it is persistently in a state of flux. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manvi, for the very informative presentation. I congratulate you on your paper, and I must also compliment on the way you are adorning a beautiful hand-painted jewelry yourself.
Thank you. Thank you
I don't know it belongs to the Mithila region or not, but for sure it is hand-painted. All right.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So your paper has given us insight on the folk jewelry of the Mithila region and how they are represented in literature. And your paper has tried to trace the journey of folk jewelry, especially in folk literature, and you arrived to the possible conclusion that it is a blend of tradition and modern elements. And also you have mentioned about the changes in the jewelry traditions and highlighted how literature has also represented dimension of the jewelry in the mythical texts and mythology, use of mythology and the mythical characters. So yes, I would like to see if there is any question. All right. We have one question from Ruchi Rana. She says that, thank you for the lovely presentation. Could you tell us how important jewelry is in the social life of Mithila women? And if you have had chanced upon myths, songs, or narratives that talk about such experience?
One second, let me read the question once again. Okay, right. So jewelry is very important for the women in Mithila. And I was there in Bihar last year, not last year, last year for my field work. And I realized that you cannot really, like I even mentioned that you cannot put the folk jewelry of Mithila under a stringent definition because it is ever changing. So what I realized is that it means different things to different women. For some of the women, it is a form of empowerment. So like that Mithila paintings are very popular in Mithila region. So a lot of women, what they have started doing is that they have begun painting the Mithila paintings on ornaments, and they're able to sell that. And I think that is wonderful because that leads to economic independence. And as for songs, yes, of course, there are a lot of songs, and most of the songs talk about how the girl, she desires some adornments from the lover. She keeps asking for nathni, which is the nose ring, and tikwa, which is the mang tika. And then there are other songs where there's a song that I remember which says that I've lost my nose ring in the gachi. Gachi is the mango groves. So the lover is trying to find that for her. So of course, I mean, in the narratives, in the songs, there's a lot. You will find jewelry everywhere. And there's a very popular saying in Maithili which says that Aprup bhojan par roop shringar, which means that you can choose the food that you want to eat, but you cannot choose your ornaments. So you have to, wear certain ornaments. Yeah. I hope that answers your question, Ruchi.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Any more questions, dear listeners? Okay, there is one question from Mitali Bowman ma'am. She congratulates you on your nice presentation. She asked, is there any specific folk ornament to wear in specific occasion like childbirth, marriage, festivals?
Okay. So there are a lot of ornaments that are worn during marriages, which are made of things that are found around. So like one particular folk ornament that is very popular is called dholna. Dholna is a kind of a Mangal Sutra, and it is made of a wood or cardboard. I'll show it to you. In fact, I have it in the first picture. Here it is. So this is a dholna, and this is used in marriages, in weddings, and this has to be removed after 4 days. And there is another ornament that is made of mango leaves. So the bride, the to-be bride, has to wear them. As for childbirth, there are these motifs that are very popular in Mithila, like fish and moon. So when a child is born, the child is given an ornament, a locket, or anything for the hand, which bears the fish or the moon on it, the motif of moon or fish. So that is something. And yes, so there are a lot of ornaments that are made of flowers and cardboard and all of these. And the best example that I could think of was dholna. This is a dholna, and this is made of cardboard. Yeah. Hello? Am I audible?
Pallavi? Okay, Mandavi, I
Yes.
think I have the next question.
Yes.
If you want, I can just read it out. I am asking, I was really interested to know what is the story behind removing Dholna after 4 days.
Okay. So there is like, the Bidai ceremony, there is a Duraguan ceremony. So if we talk about the wedding between Ram and Sita, they were married twice. So that same tradition continues in Mithila as well. So after 4 days, you have to remove the Dholna and you can't just throw it away. So either you take a dip in the water or something like that. And then after 4 days, you are married off again. And then you wear a Mangal Sutra or some other neck ornament. So that is the story that, after 4 days, you have to remove it for the Duraguan ceremony, for the Bidai ceremony, because the girl gets married for the second time, following the Ram and Sita wedding traditions. Yeah.
Pallavi, please unmute yourself.
Pallavi, are you online? Perhaps the connection problem.
It's okay, sir. This is Ruchi this side. If I can just
Yes,
say
yes.
something.
Hmm.
Mandavi, it was lovely. Thanks a lot for
Thank you so much.
transporting us to this beautiful world of Mithila women and the relevance of jewelry. It was lovely hearing you. Thanks a lot for your presentation. I think it's time we need to move on to our next presentation.
Yes.
Our next presenter is Ms. Shubhashri Sahu. She's going to present on the topic Cultural Patterns of the Santals of Mayurbhani, a study in the present socio-cultural scenario. Are you with us, ma'am? Please unmute yourself, Shubhashri, ma'am.
Is she present?
Yes, sir. She, I think she's co-host also.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
But she's not responding.
Hello.
Sir,
Hello.
Shubhashri Sahu?
yes.
Yes. Hello.
Are you online?
Yes, sir.
Bas.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, she's there.
Okay. Hello,
Pallavi,
ma'am.
unmute you.
Sorry. Hello.
So you are very much online, right? Are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, Ruchi, take it. I think
Yes,
Pallavi.
sir. Yeah. Hello, ma'am. I actually introduced your topic. So if you have to share your PowerPoint, you can please do that. Share your screen and start with your presentation.
Sorry, ma'am. I have no PPT, ma'am.
It's all right. You can start with introducing yourself to our audience, and then you can begin with your paper.
Thank you, ma'am.
It would be lovely if you can,
Good afternoon.
if we can see you, if you can start your video also.
Ma'am, there is network issue.
Shubhashri, it is all right.
Yes, we can see you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. You can begin now. Please introduce yourself, and then you can start with your presentation.
Good afternoon to you. all. This is Subhasri Sahu, Research Scholar, Department of Tribal Studies, Central University of Jharkhand. Ma'am, shall I mute my video? Hello.
अच्छा,
Yes,
are
ma'am.
you not feeling
Whatever is
comfortable?
convenient to you.
Okay,
Yes,
no
ma'am.
problem.
No, actually, network issue, sir. If I will on the video, actually.
No problem, ma'am. Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. Hello. Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am. Please, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon to you all. This is Subhasri Sahu, Research Scholar, Department of Tribal Studies, Central University, Jharkhand. Now I am going to present my paper on cultural patterns of the Santals of Mayurbhanj, a study in the present socio-cultural scenario. Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are audible.
In the age of science and technology, the world has become a global village where knowledge of non-Indian history becomes important. In this regard, the tribal history of Odisha in general and the Santal of Mayurbhanj in particular, relating to its cultural pattern and changes and development taken care of. As far as the nature of the tribal disaster study is concerned, the sociologists, the anthropologists, and the historians are very particular to highlighting the very nature, genesis, growth, and development of Santals regarding the cultural patterns. The objective of this research paper is in to highlight the cultural patterns of the Santals from macro to micro. The second objective is to highlight the on the change hello. Hello. The
Subhashri, are you there?
second one highlights on the changing conditions as we know. Hello. Hello.
Subhashri, are you there? We
Hello,
can't hear
ma'am.
you.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. As we know, for the anthropological study, geography plays an important role. In this way, northern Odisha, more particularly Mayurbhanj, has occupied an important position in the anthropological settings of Odisha since time immemorial. Its cultural treasure, the infrastructure of ecotourism and the trade and commerce, once upon a time has glorified its place, history, and tribal identity. From the sources, it is evident that Mayurbhanj Santals has its own historical of non than 2000 years ago. From the royal records of Mayurbhanj, its ancient and anthropological nomenclature is Khijinkota, having its capital at Khijinkota identified to the modern king. As far as the geographical setting is concerned, Mayurbhanj is surrounded by West Bengal, Singhbhum, present in Jharkhand. In south, it is consisting of Keonjhar district. In east, it is Medinapur, West Bengal. It belongs to Chotnagar Plateau and provides a thing is a cultural and ecotourism setup. As a compact cultural zone, Mayurbhanj, a tribal concentrated zone has zone land epitomizes a religious syncretism of Hinduism, Islam, Christianism, Buddhism, Jainism, and the cradle of tribal beliefs, cultural patterns, the social management of the tribals, particular the Santas. It is evident from the archaeological excavation at the site, like Kulina, Kiching, Benishagar, Haripur, Bidapur, Kuchap, Baripada, Baman Ghati, and Kaptipada. The cultural patterns of Santal. In the professional point of view, a man's culture is what he is totally on his life and interest. The tribal people express their culture, identity, and distinctiveness through their social organization, customs, traditions, rituals, festivals, dress and ornaments, arts and crafts, language and tattoo, etc. Their culture grows out of the soil and inseparable adapted to a natural environment. The whole it is free, independent, natural and distinctive and capture easily distinguished from the culture of the sophisticated society inside poverty and conditional battle for survival have tried to save their rich and different heritage of colorful dance, music and musical instruments, etc. Musical instrument is integral part of their day-to-day life. It is through songs and dance Santhals seek to satisfy their inner urge for reveling. They show their expression through the performance. They sing and dance in the evening hours uh, after after a day hard work. They sit together at a place with their songs and dances. It is the way to express their emotions. Santhals youth of both sexes divided themselves into two groups. Now one is old men and another is old women for participate in some dances. During dance, they use musical instruments like tumdaha, tamang, dhuli, chuchuli, kotal, dhak, nipur, ghagar, polga, triyau, banam, kapil gharchau, etc. Festivals. Greatest among the Santal festival is Sarkat, known as Makkar. This festival falls in the second week January, a beginning of the year, and the first festival of the year. It is called Makra Sankranti. In this festival, they prepare different type of delicious food like cake, curry, and other foods for them. In the morning, first they worship their god and goddesses and their ancestors. After the finish they worship, they would like to eat modi and guda. They prepare cake like simjil. Simjil means chicken. Kashijil means mutton, and offer to their relatives and neighbors. During Holi festival, the Santas worship the deity Jahira. At first, Naik worship different flower like mohula, sarjom, and other flower. At the same time, they also sacrifice goat, sheep, cock, and also offered tanghandi. Tanghandi. After finish worship, they prepare food adding all the animal meat. After they take and drink handia. They pour normal water to each other. Colors are not used because of taboo. In Raja festival, they prepare cake and different delicious foods. They also take traditional drink, handia and dance. Religion. The imagination of gods and goddesses are different from other communities. They mainly worship nature for manifestation symbols and part of nature out of her. They start the worship which becomes social institution in the long run. The Santal pantheon made malevolent and benevolent. The Santals have their own bongohola, means bonga means worship, ola means place. Um, it is at home. Each and every festival they worship their ancestor at the house, and they also have different god goddesses as per the family. Language and education. The tribals of Odisha speak language which are different from the non-tribal languages. Comes from the Austrian. Recently, the script was developed by Mr. Raghunath Murmu. In general, the Santals are illiterate and uneducated. However, many of them have come up in life well, uh, educated and serving in high posts of the government. Nowadays, many schools are open in the Santal villages. Recently, Odisha government has introduced Santali language with all uh, script in many schools and colleges. The Jharkhand state, India has started teaching of Santali language, all script in all over the state. Social organization. Santal tribal society consists of two different elements of social organization and institutions. Each of the units consists of a number of persons. These units of different types and magnitude are interlinked in various ways and have their respective unifications. The other element of social organization is the institution. The Santal institution is massive. The Santals have stratified society. The chief of the village is called Knight. The village panchayat is held by Maji Halam, who is next to him, and two other villagers called Jagmaji, Parni Maji, work as informal. The two Jagmaji selected the barber and washerman to perform the duties during festivals and rituals. Other than these dignitaries, rest of the villagers are called Mapanji. Mapanji. The total villagers are called Monepanji, Mone Manpanji, including head of the villagers. They form the village panchayat and also settle all disputes. The knight in the association with them settles each and every villager's problem. However, in the marital and religious problem, the opinion of Maji Baba or Maji Halam comes more weight. Generally, the head of the village is responsible for law and order into village relationship and property of the village. The Panchayat of Santal. The Santal have their own traditional panchayat. The panchayat has enormous social, moral, religious, economic, and political control over the community. The functions and the responsibilities of the panchayat are a social custom, religious rites and festivals, safeguarding and promoting economic interests of the people, political safeguards and political safeguards and protection of cultural heritage such as continuity of dance, song, food, etc. Political structure of the Santal society is another fundamental trait. Has been greatly affected by introduction of Panchayat Raj and adult and the youth tango of the Santal train of the boys and girls in the Santali tradition has been. It is the core of their culture and support. The age-old tradition, this is the place of entertainment, social gathering centers. It is also the most suitable place select live partners. The Sango means club is a place of dance and expression of combined art of the people. The children love here the art of loving, how to work and respect the elders. The elders of the village assemble at the club every day or in important events in their corporate life. Here they discuss matters concerning the welfare of the village and fix a date and time for celebration of the village festival. Santa's dress and ornaments. The male members wear kacha, known as dhoti. They wear the cloth on their waist. It continues in between the two back sides to become a knot. They wear the small dhoti, also called the gamcha. They feel comfortable while working in the field. They also use simple jackets while they feel cold in the month of January. Females are wear dhaga, dhaga, short long cloth, little bit longer than the male kacha. Nowadays we are calling it sari. Nowadays many ladies in the village are using blouse. The females put many types of ornaments made by silver, iron, gold, in the ear, they use silver brass ornaments like agra, bedpost, in the neck, silver necklace called ginchi mala, and collar beads in the nose, bhabuja and stars in the wrist, extra silkety bangles in the wrist, in the beak, uh, hadua, hadua. The females make plants of their hair. They use a type of piece called tulak, which is decorated by using of different flowers. Sometimes they use on the head hair. Nowadays, Santal tribe are using different types of modern clothes, both male and female. Like male are wearing t-shirt, pants, jeans, shoes, etc.
Subhashri, may I just interrupt here? Please wind up your presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
No, you can wind it up in like 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. The food habits of the Santals vary according to the availability of food materials. Their food is water rice called damadi. Damadi is the main food of the Santals, but they made a dhaka sometimes, which is called patla dhaka, rohol dhaka. The Santals prefer roasted food and also may eat dal like moong, mashri, etc. They take a little sugar and use oil in small quantity for cooking. Handio liquor, common drink, it is not prohibited socially. Each ceremonial event like marriage, birth, and other village worship ceremony, they take in various ceremonial and religious uses to get rid of tiredness and for pleasure, they drink liquor. Mm, Conclusion. The process of modernization that is rapidly eroding the age-old tradition of Santal of this region, especially their weaving, ornaments, productive activities, handicrafts, house types, etc. Changes have been observed in practice of their festivals, especially among the youth. The objective of this study is to portray the transition of traditional culture of Santhal of this region to its modern platform. The study also reveals the benefits of modernization, which has added the Santhal from being in a back-footed position in the social ladder, as well as has provided them with better living conditions, including education and health care and empowerment of women. The modern process of change have brought a change in tradition and cultural modification among Santhal of this region. The region is particularly due to acceptance of modern culture as well as changing taste of the Santhal through their awareness from different sources. In each and entire culture entity, the Santals have now advanced which speak about macro to micro. Thank you.
Pallavi, please unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Subhashri, for your paper presentation. So your paper was a very descriptive representation of the Santhal community, and you have specifically focused on the area of Mayurbhanj and Santhal. So you have structurally talked about the dress, the cultural formations, the festival, the food habits in your paper. And you have highlighted that how the people express and assert their identity through the social organization, as we keep on telling that culture is a way of living, it is a way of life. So it is through the food habits, through the way of living, through the social systems that you have mentioned here, is how one community express their identity. So I'd like to look for the question in the chat box. So we have one question from you from Ruchi Rana. She asked, what are these modern transitions in Santals? Could you name some? Are you there, Subhashri?
Hello?
Yeah, what are the modern transitions that you have mentioned towards your conclusion in the Santals? So we would like to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Yeah, please continue. Yes.
First thing is more people are highly qualified and they are in a high position in government schemes and jobs, and their because of the westernization, their livelihood changed nowadays, like their food habits, house patterns, their dress patterns, like this, ma'am, towards modernization.
All right. Thank you for your answer. Like how the cultural patterns is also changes with the advent of in the change of livelihood. So I'd like to thank you, Subhashri. As there are no more questions, we would like to move forward to our next paper presenter. So it's by Setlu Tuni from University of Delhi, and her paper titled is Folk Life and Taboos, Analytical Study in the Saksang Naga Socio-Cultural Context. So Setlu, over to you. Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself first before you start with your presentation. All the best.
Thank you, Pallavi. And I also thank the department for giving this opportunity to share my ideas with in this kind of platform.
May I interrupt here, Setlu? You are not visible completely. Like
okay.
yes, you have to rearrange your device. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Setlu. I'm pursuing my PhD in Modern Indian Language and Literary Studies in University of Delhi, and under the supervisor of Professor Patnaik. I would like to share my screen. Okay. The topic that I'll be presenting today is on the topic of folk life and taboos, analytical study in the Chagasan Nagas and social cultural context. In introduction, the community life of the Chagasan Nagas is closely knitted to traditional beliefs and practices in the context of the Chagasan Nagas. Taboos come in along with the community traditional beliefs and rituals, which in a way controls the social life directly or indirectly. The folk lives imbibed with rituals and superstitious belief, which naturally brings certain social norms of do's and don'ts. The community tabooed any unnatural things or anything that beyond the control, which people, the belief of the people, I'm sorry. The community tabooed the beliefs of the people forced them to appease and hold Gena to everything that is unanswerable and beyond their knowledge. The how and why has never been in their mind to question, since they are overpowered by the fear and anxieties to unknown forces. As the communities solely depend on agriculture, it impels people to hold Gena and observe taboos to every activity they performed or do. The Gena and taboo in the Chagasan context. The word Gena is the lingua franca originated from the word of Angami language, Gena, Pena, and Nanu. The Gena means something that is prohibited or forbidden to do. Pena refers to the Sabbath day or the non-working days of the people, and Nani refers to the rites performed in the whole period of prohibition. The Chagasan Chokri speaking people have the similar word sounding Kena as Kini, Pena as Mena, and Nani as Nani. In the context of the Chagasan, the three words Kini, Mena, and Nani are interconnected to each other and without which the meaning of taboo cannot be explained. In the ancient practice of religion, everything they do or say is directly or indirectly linked with taboos, which are the key source to uphold people's belief. Their everyday lives is almost governed by do's and don'ts or restriction of one thing or the other. The rights of Gena brings in the three obligation, Kini, Muna, and Nani to the community. People are always careful enough lest they anger the spirit or bad luck befalls on them. The fear and anxiety arouses the people to undergo all rites or ceremonies in people in order to console and satisfy themselves that no harm or ill luck befalls on them. This leads them to perform various rituals, both on social and personal rituals of appeasement and propitiation. In the Chagasan context, they say that it is taboo when anything is forbidden to eat or made use of, or something considered to be scared or dangerous. It is mainly expressed in a prohibition and violation of it triggers punishment. The community usually follows two categories of taboo, personal taboos observed mentally for personal needs or problems, and social taboos observed by the whole village or a particular clan. Taboo was observed in every community's folk life, and to break a taboo was unimaginable. Religion or belief system was very important for the Chakasan community. The community believes that causes of troubles and suffering which befalls in a person's life or family and the inhabitations are attributed to the actions of the evil spirits. So they performed a system of ceremonies by offering sacrifices to keep these deities and spirits appeased. The breaking of a taboo is felt definitely result in some calamity. So it is seen that wherever taboo is to be avoided, it is done carefully. Purity was maintained by the people in a very strict way. To this, the priest plays a pivotal role in the functioning of the community. In the role of the priest of the village plays an important role in performing the Gena and advising the people of do's and don'ts that taboo their life. Whenever there is a social Gena, the priest stood on the stone erected as a platform outside his house, faces to each direction, east, west, north, and south, and announces like today so-and-so has made a mistake or thief has broken into the house and there will be Gena for rent, etc. And the villagers follows accordingly. During the Gena for rain or harvest, the villagers are tabooed from doing any work or to step out of the village. Any trade, be it import or export, rice of cotton beads, especially white beads, salt, ornaments, etc. are prohibited as they believe that it brings hailstorm causing famine. When a particular village is holding a Gena, a traveler or any outsider unknowingly steps in the village, then he or she is sent out of the village gate immediately with consequences. The priest is standing on the stone outside his house and calls on the people to gather around him, and he cursed the traveler for disrupting the Gena, saying, "An outsider has come to our village. May every bad luck of the village, may the curse and anger of the spirit go with him and spare our village." The villagers together chant, let him die, let him die. And the people believe that if the traveler dies, then he will die alone with all the bad omens that he brought to the village with him, leaving the village from evil spirits' anger. This is one of the priest stone where I have taken the pictures during my field work, fixing the date of the festival, and all rituals are done through him. Any celebration or rituals cannot be performed without the absence of priest. He is considered as a mediator between the spirit of Supreme God and human being. All agricultural work is done only after the declaration of the priest. It is believed that without this blessing, the harvest or the crops does not produce well. The priest is like a living calendar to the people. With so much of responsibility in the well-being of the villagers, the priest in the village is tabooed to eat or drink anything from others' house. He is required to carry his own rice bear whenever he visits others' house. When he visits his neighboring villages, he is obliged to take his own rice bear and pack his own food enough for the journey and the return. He is not allowed to eat or drink in others' villages, for people believe that if he does so, then all the blessings and prosperity remains in that particular village. The taboos of death. Personal taboos are observed by a person or a particular family. If that occurs in a family, the family observes a Gena after burying the deceased. The Chagazanagas bury the dead body and do not expose them off to open spaces. They believe in afterlife that spirit goes to the spirit world and continue his or her living. The deceased cannot be sent empty-handed, lest they will suffer in the next life. Thus, they send them off with rice bear, clothes. For men, they put spear and dowel, etc. And for women, they put in weaving looms, bed, and hoe, etc. And the people thought that man will face great force to protect his people in the spirit world. Thus, on his funeral rites, men folk charms as to fight, encouraging the deceased by shouting, "Do not be afraid or anything." They even challenges the spirit by saying, "What spirit took away my loved ones? Come out if you have guts and fight like a man." On a funeral day, cows and pigs are killed according to the will of a person as a sacrifice to the spirit and feast the villagers who have come to help them for the funeral. The best part of intestine is offered to the spirit as a sacrifice. This rituals is practiced because people believe that if they sacrifice and feed the peoples well, then it will make the deceased life easier in the next spirit world. It is taboo for people who have helped in digging their grave and burying ceremonials to mingle with other people for a week. He or she has to purify herself or himself by observing Gena. This tsupi, or this is also called the predictions of a warrior's luck in hunting. Tsupi is an important ritual that is performed to see the luck of the hunters and the warriors' luck. In the past, where hunting is practiced within the community, people solely depend on the luck as predicted through the rituals of Tsupi and Medova to select the good warrior or war. The priest in the village performs the rituals and predicts for the menfolk. All these rituals are performed outside the village gate or by the outskirts of the village because they believe that sometimes the rituals will harm the villagers and will make them a vulnerable victim to the spirit. Women are tabooed to go to the rituals place, lest it will bring bad luck to the rituals and brings ill-fated luck or accidents to the warriors and hunters. No one except the priest is allowed to touch the stone, which is erected in the ritual ground. If anybody touches it, then it is believed to have affected the climate and the rain will refuse to rain to their land. This is one of the ritual places where the priest perform his rituals for weather and this warrior's luck. This I have taken during one of my field work. Taboos in times of birth and sickness. During the birth of a child, the woman is tabooed from going out for 5 days, nor is allowed to visit the Naga's houses, always built within the backside of the house. If she wants to go for her needs, the husband first checked out whether anybody is outside, then he lead her to the backside of the door. The community believes that the baby and the mother are very vulnerable to the outside world during the first week after giving birth and might even succumb to the prey of the people's eyes or other unseen force. If a child is born dead or before the 5-day cannot complete, then the child is buried inside a house for the reason which is known to them. People explained it is because the child do not have a name and may get lost away, or the spirit may harm the child, or a person is sick. The male member of that family takes chicken, 2 fresh banana leaves and an iron, then goes outside the village gate and perform the rituals. The man whispers to the spirit, take this offering and never turn back again and harm my family. He then frees the chicken and is left at the mercy of the nature, places the iron and the banana to the ground, and returns home. It is taboo for rituals and appeasement or propitiation, as the community also to the whole village. Taboo in the community's festival. The Chagasan community is a diverse community where people speak different languages. Chokri, Keja, and Pula are the 3 major languages spoken by the people. Besides variation in languages, they also have their own separate festival to celebrate in different seasons. Sakrini is celebrated by Chokri-speaking people, Takeni is celebrated by Keja-speaking people, and Tuni is celebrated by Sapu or Pula-speaking people. The social cultural life of the Chagasan community is very vibrant and lively because of the celebrating festival after festivals and following the agricultural cycle. The community holds social gathering as the belief that it is through social gathering people come closer to each other and brings unity among the community as well. After completing all the yearly agriculture, they must purify themselves, leaving all the deeds or mistakes. The festivals are covered with feasting and observing various gena. The people abstain themselves from any kind of work, but eat, drink, sing, and dance. Menfolk observe kini, a taboo of prohibition, not to have contact with women for the first 3 days. They eat separately and do not allow women to fetch water for them. No outsiders are allowed to enter the village during the gena, and it is strictly being celebrated within the village. The people are tabooed from engaging in any kind of trade with, be it import or export trade, and outsiders are restricted to travel or visit the village during this time. The entire field work or drying of rice must be done before the festival, because during the festival, it is tabooed to do any kind of manual work. If a person runs out of rice before the completion of the festival, then he is tabooed to dry his rice grain, but is obliged to borrow it from his neighbor and pay back only after the festival gets over. Taboo of for gentes. The community is very particular and rigid when it comes to taboo for men and women. They are tabooed not to wear or use any clothes or materials used by the opposite sex. It is tabooed for women to touch or lay hand to any of the men's weapon, lest it will bring ill-fated luck in times of war and hunting. Men are tabooed to touch women's belongings like weaving stick, looms, or yarn, lest he will not be able to outrun his enemy in times of war, because those yarns will pull back his leg, or he will not be able to hunt animals, as it will outrun him. Men and women are tabooed to wear each other's clothes like shawls, lest it will bring bad luck to both the groups. Women are tabooed to whistle or give a war cry because the people believe that it will create a hurdle to the menfolk when going to war or hunting. Taboo and its importance have changed over time in the Chagasan community, especially with the impact of Christianity and education. The rituals that are once revered and considered tabooed have lost its reverence and values when the community owes its allegiance to Christian God and when the church has replaced the ritualistic place. The head of the church has replaced the role of the tradition, religious priest. Although there are changes.
You have got 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm getting over, thank you. Although there are changes in the nature's folk life as well as taboos of the community still observes any form of gena that is in Christian context with reverence. The rigidity of taboo is lessened. For example, like a person wearing shawls of the opposite gender is still discouraged, although it's no more an act of taboo. With this, I end up my presentation, and thank you for your patience and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Setlu, for the well-organized and very informative presentation. So your paper has dealt with the Sakesang Naga community and the concept of taboo in the context of the community. And you have highlighted the taboos like the personal and social taboo and made us aware of the concepts as such. And how one thing, your paper highlighted that how one thing is related to each other. For example, the very concept of taboo per se. So if you are doing something which is a taboo, then what are the consequences to it? And if there is a consequences, then what are the sacrifices you are doing for it? So how everything is related within the larger folk and community fabric of the way of life of the Sakesang Naga tribe. And your paper has dealt with some taboos like related to agriculture, personal space like birth, social space like gathering, and also gender taboos. So I congratulate you for your wonderful presentation. And now we will be taking some questions for you. Okay, the first question is by Ankita Gupta. She asked, could you shed some light on menstrual taboos in the community, if any?
Okay, thank you, Ankita, for the questions, and thank you for Pallavi. Yes, there was taboo. I mean, like not these days, but there was taboo in the when it comes in the past. So when the women had a menstrual period, then she is tabooed not to touch any other utensils that or share the food utensils that with her other family. So she has to have her own utensils, her own plate, and her own cup during her menstruation. And like I said, like during that childbirth, that the Chagasan Nagas has 2 doors, that is from the front door and the back door. So women usually goes when during her menstruation, women usually don't come out from the front side. Usually they use the back door until her menstruation gets over, and after her menstruation gets over, once her period menstruation is over, then she has to purify herself, clean herself, and clean all the utensils, the clothes that she is wearing, and only after that can continue her normal life. But comparing to the present day, after the Christianization in our community, we don't have that such kind of taboos anymore, because even like during our even a woman can be in like take part in a church, in a pulpit, or in anything, in any social gatherings, in any ritualistic place. A woman can take part even when she is having her menstruation, unlike the past. I hope this answers to Ankita's questions. Pallavi, can you please unmute yourself? You have mute yourself.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. The next question we have is from Ruchi Rana. She asks, could you tell us more about the role of priest in relation to the selection process? As a pivotal ritual actor, is this spiritual identity cause of some personal experience of divinity, or a role that is decided based on some socially acceptable factors? If yes, then what are those unique factors required to take this distinguished role, and how Christianity has impacted this important position?
Thank you, Ruchi, for the wonderful question, and it's a good question in fact. Actually, yes. When it comes to the priest role, it's not that everybody can become a priest, or not like that. So obviously there is to be a divination role that the priests have. Then the priests have to have like some. The people believe, that's what the people believe, that the priest used to have the divine power, the divination, that where he can have be a mediator between the spirit as well as to the common people. And because of this, he has because he has a connection. That's what people believe, that so that people believe that the priest, that very person, has a connection, with the spirit. So they make him the priest. And when the priest in the past days, the priest, we have to be the selection process. It's like a hereditary. So if the father is the priest, and if he has a divine power, then all those knowledge, the people believe, the community believe, that the family of that priest is they have a superior being. They have the superior knowledge, and they have the family has this connection with the spirit. So they once the priest, the son inherits his father's, but only after the son gets married. Until and unless the son gets married, he cannot inherit his father's as a priest. But once he gets married, then after his father died, then the son immediately takes the inheritance of the father as a priest. And yes, when it comes to Christianity, the impact of Christianity as a priest, and the priests in the traditional priests, and now the pastors, after the Christianity, it has very much impacted the position of the priest, because we don't have, after the Christianity has arrived, there is we stop practicing this traditional religion. And now all the priest position and all the inheritance, or the family lineage, or the lineage of the priest, it's the loss is important. And the priest doesn't have, we don't have any priest as a like ritualistic priest, traditional ritualistic priest anymore in our community. It has drastically changed to the church, and now we call them as pastors, reverend, and father, or as in like Christian terms, instead of the traditional priest.
Thank you, Setlu, for answering the question. We don't have any more question, but you do have some compliments for your paper presentation in the chat box. You can just read them from the chat box. So with this, we have come today to the end of the session. That is, today was the 14th session. So this brings us an end to it. And I would like to officially thank all of you. Firstly, I would like to thank our convener and HOD, Professor P.C. Patnaik, sir, for motivating and for his constant guidance support for making this webinar a success, and also for uniting and bringing all of us together in one platform as a group to get involved in such a productive webinar. I would also like to thank Dr. Venkatramaya sir for being a part of the core committee and also helping us with all the technical glitches, and thanks to all the organizers and the participants. And I always say that the listeners and the audience, thank you very much for being a part of this webinar and the exchange of knowledge and meaningful insights. So that's it. That's come. We will see you after 2 hours break. Again, we have a special lecture at 6 p.m. in the evening. So please do come and join us again. Yeah. Thank you.